And action!
Welcome to Why Whine Without Whine, a business talk show with twisted humor. I'm Hillary with Climb Strategies.
I'm Christina, owner of IAJ Multimedia. This is a place where we are not real talk show hosts, but
We are real entrepreneurs and we talk about all kinds of things, business and books and wine. And why do we have wine on the show?
because you can't whine without wine.
Absolutely not allowed.
No, I cannot do it.
Today our guest is Kyle Gillette with Gillette Solutions. We're excited to have him on the show. And what else are we going to do today?
We are going to talk about an awesome book that coincides with our topic today, and we're going to introduce our wine that we're drinking.
The wine. I'm excited for this wine. We always choose a wine that kind of fits the show, whether it has anything to do with our show or not. We have fun with it.
Hey,
So
if we think it fits,
if we think it fits, yes,
then we make it fit.
we make it fit.
So I'm really excited for the awesome guest that we have on our show today. Would you like to introduce?
I would love to. So this is my friend, and actually I'm going to say you are also my business coach, Kyle Gillette with Gillette Solutions. He's the owner of the company, and he has a little bit different format of coaching than I do, and that's why I love working with him, because it gives me a lot of new insight and perspectives about how to be a better person, a business person. So welcome. Tell us a bit about your company, what you do.
What I do is I help people to be more productive with their life, to have a better understanding of who they are so they can thrive in life and in business. And one of the main things that I do is I help people to understand their personalities. So I dive into the personality side of who they are and describe that so they can kind of have a language around who they are, and they can use that in their work, in their professional life, and their personal life. And if you don't have the language around what you are, then it's really difficult to notice. So if I don't know that I'm not detail-oriented, which I'm not detail-oriented, if I don't know that about myself, I don't know the errors that I'm making. I forget to create systems to make myself detail-oriented, to create context to help me with that limitation.
Right, right.
So you help people to see, even if they're not seeing, you know, exactly how they are, and then they can work on things. Oh, thank you, Maxwell.
Shaking or anything.
We do not whine without wine.
Never,
Never. Thanks.
at least on the show.
Well, cheers. Shall we cheers?
Thank you. Yes, cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We want to ask you questions about types of clients you have.
Okay.
One would be, what is the easiest personality to work with, and who's the hardest? But you start with whichever one you want to work with.
Yeah.
You know, the easiest would be those that are motivated and excited to do what they're doing. And most people that I work with are motivated and excited, but there's a different level of motivation that is a lot easier to work with, where they're basically anything that they come up with through the coaching. Because when I coach, it's not consulting. So they're coming up with the ideas. I'm not telling them what to do because that's not my job. My job is to help them come up with brilliant ideas on their own. So when they're the type that says, okay, I have this good idea and I'm actually going to implement it, it's just a lot easier for them to see the benefits of the coaching because they're putting the work in. And ultimately, when it comes to self-awareness and our own progress in business, our own progress in life, it's really up to us. So working with them is great. When it comes to the other end of the spectrum, it's more the personality types that are very much opposite of me. So if they're really, really opposite of me, where they're much slower paced, much more analytical and detail oriented, that's a lot harder for me to get on board with, because they want more information, they're more detail oriented, and as we know, I'm not great at that. So I can definitely work with them because I think of it from an opposite angle of them, and that can be really helpful, but they're a little bit more of a struggle for me. But I do love working with both types because it just brings out different things from my questions and the coaching that I provide.
Yeah, it almost pushes you, right?
Oh, for sure.
So
Oh,
think
yeah.
outside
Yes.
of your box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then every time I have to do that, it's helpful for the next client or the
Right.
next session.
Yeah, so you're constantly growing as a person and a coach as well.
Yeah, you go into coaching and you end up doing a lot of your own self-development that you don't necessarily intend to do, but all of a sudden it starts happening. It's really, sometimes it's intimidating and scary because you're realizing things about yourself that you didn't know were there. And sometimes it's really rewarding because the things you're realizing are really powerful and empowering.
What personality trait would you say is the most common in people who get stuck?
Sure. So people get stuck because they want too much information. So there's a personality type combination that's called the conscientious and the steady style. It's 40% of the population in the world. So most of the people have that combination, which means most of the people are very info driven. And so what they do is they need information before they make a decision, and if they can't arrive at the information that they think they need, then they won't make a decision, or they will not fully buy into the decision or resist a decision that's made for them. If you're stuck as a person when it comes to trying to find information, you're stuck because you're trying to get information you probably don't need or you can't actually get access to. And it doesn't matter to have that information ultimately.
Until you start, right?
Yeah.
Some information you can't get until you start.
Right, and do some people maybe use that as an excuse, like I can't get started because I don't have the information, and that gives them that space of,
It's a safe.
I don't have to go anywhere because.
Yeah, definitely. There's people that are really, really good researchers. They're really good at, I'll meet with a client, and I met with this client that I was working with her to help her find a job. And so she researched like crazy. And at every conversation that we had, I was reminding her, you know what, it's not about the research, it's about taking action on the research that you've done. And so eventually she did the research that she thought she needed to do, and ultimately from some kick in the butts from me, she made her decision. It was a good decision. She loves her career path. Because it feels good to find out information. It feeds our brains and it satisfies that, we'll call it an itch. And if the person has a certain personality type that has a high theoretical bend to it, let's call it, they will need to have that information. And so until that itch in their brain is scratched, they're going to continue searching. So somehow we have to help teach them to satisfy that itch quicker.
So it's almost like, because making a decision is going into uncharted territory,
Yeah.
that research hopefully could provide a map so it doesn't look so unknown.
Yeah, I talk about it. It's a mountain. They're climbing a mountain of information, and you go down the mountain after you've found the information. You go after whatever it is that you're pursuing. But a lot of these folks see it as a cliff.
What would be a personality trait that you see in successful people?
Probably the one that really stands out to me is self-awareness. I mean, it seems a bit of a cop-out, but it really is. It's big time.
Perfect.
Just this high level of self-awareness, of weaknesses, of strengths, of you call them limitations, of what they're motivated by, what hinders their motivation. The higher that is, or the more that exists in someone's life, the more likely they're going to find success, the more likely they're going to find progress.
We just had that conversation.
We're always having that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I 110% agree with you. Like, you have to be self-aware to move on, to learn and move. And all being an entrepreneur is all about learning from everything you go through on a daily basis and growing from it. So.
Yeah, and I think one of the easiest ways to create that self-awareness is, yes, you can take an assessment. That's a really easy way to do it, of course. But another way is the accountability side of self-awareness. So I believe that if you want to grow, that you can only grow as much as you have accountability in your life or support in your life. So I don't know if you guys have heard of John Maxwell or not, but he has this theory that he says it's the law of the lid, and that everything rises and falls on leadership, right? So the level of an organization can go only as high as the leader in the organization. And I think if we want to take our lives or our leadership to the next level, we have to have that support and accountability in our lives. So I equate it to, we can grow to tremendous levels, but we can never reach that pinnacle, which to me, for people's lives, is a fulfillment state. And so I can be growing in tremendous ways in my business, but if I don't have accountability in my life, then that fulfillment piece will never really be reached at the level that it could be reached. So that's been, for the people I've met with, that part has been really helpful for them. And that's what a coach provides, right? We're the advocate and the accountability partner to them that they never knew they needed.
Well, that was a great time having guest Kyle Gillette on.
Yes, it was.
So we learned a lot.
Yeah.
I'm still learning with him. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to take the disc test.
You should.
I've never done that.
Yes.
So
up now, we're going to do wine. Bring on our wine. We chose a wine called And Why Am I Mr. Pink? And that we just thought was a fun name for going with personalities, like why am I who I am?
It is a 2018 rosé, and it is an underground project, right? It's by an underground project by
with Mark Ryan McNeely and Trey Bush.
It's out of Mattawa, Washington, which is in the Columbia Valley.
Super crisp. It needs to be really chilled. What do you taste? I taste flowers.
You can taste the berry. I have to admit, when it comes to summertime, I'm a rosé all day girl, and I don't drink. It's funny because I'm a red girl the rest of the year. But then when it comes to summertime, if I need a Chardonnay or a rosé outside that's chilled and just, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Until it gets night, and then I'm back to my reds.
Until it gets nice. She really doesn't drink all day.
No, I don't.
It's one of those ones where it's, at first it tasted flowery, and now it's not. With my nose in there, it tastes more fruity, but it's real subtle. And that's one thing that's really great about rosés is they're just softer,
And I believe this is a rosé with Sangiovese, right?
Yeah.
So it's different because, like, I've had rosés that are Pinot Noir rosés, which I really enjoy. I love rosés that have more of a strawberry taste to it.
Yeah.
And this one's really good though. It does have a nice berry
Yeah.
flavor in there. I like the berry accent.
I do too. So cheers.
Cheers, boo.
Up next is a book.
Yes, now we're going to talk about our book.
So our book, I'm excited. This
Me
is
too.
a really good book. It's the QBQ, Question Behind the Question. I love it. He's learning. Shh, he's learning. Be very quiet.
We might actually be learning something.
Thank you.
Okay.
So this is by John G. Miller, and it's celebrating 18 years of 1 million copies in print. So it's really worth the read. And so I'm just going to share a little bit really quick about what I wrote up front. Is one thing that's in here is, that serenity prayer that I think it goes like, God grant me the
Patience
thing. Well, this one has been twisted a little bit. I really like it. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know it's me.
Amen,
and I thought that was
sister.
pretty powerful.
That
Instead of trying to get everybody else to change, if we change ourselves, or like Kyle was talking about, if we can kind of morph a little bit into the personality of the other person, not if they're bad or toxic, but just to stand up to them or relate to them better, I think we can see that it's not always them that needs to change.
There's always a common denominator.
Always.
And that seems to be.
Yeah, and even if we really aren't the one that needs to change, we can change how we react to somebody that should change.
Yeah.
And that helps too. It's not always, but again, it's what can you do differently to make the situation better.
Yeah, I like those different questions.
So what's something you found that you loved?
I found.
So what can I do differently so we get peace and quiet on the set?
Okay. I underlined, choose the wrong thought, and we're often to blame, complaining, and procrastination. So it really is like your choice.
Yeah.
If you choose that wrong thought, you're
Yeah. And
down that rabbit hole of not good.
The snowball effect. So if we can stop a thought and process and say, yeah, exactly that, even thinking, negative thinking, it's like, why be miserable? Why be miserable?
Yeah.
Choose something more positive to think about.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
It really is.
And it's a practice choice. Like an athlete, your brain needs practice in doing something new and thinking differently. And
yes, and to go along with that, even deciding not to choose is making a choice.
absolutely. In fact, it's called the IQs, the incorrect questions. It's negative questions that don't solve problems.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Why Wine Without Wine. I'm Christina, owner of IAJ Multimedia.
And I'm Hillary Williamson with Climb Strategies. And you can find us on Facebook, Why Wine Without Wine. And where else?
IGTV, or you can find us on YouTube. If you have any recommendations for books, podcasts, or wines that you think we would like, please drop us a message and let us know, because we would love to share it with the world.
Yes. And just so you know, all improv humor on our show is for entertainment purposes only and does not reflect the beliefs or our lifestyles of our guest, cast, or crew.
No, but we sure have fun.
We sure do have fun. So we wish you all entrepreneurs good luck, you crazy people.
And just embrace that you are.
Mm-hmm.